Hello everyone, it's Kathy Champion and you're back with me here at Kathy's Random Acts of Stampin'. This is my YouTube channel and thank you so much for joining me. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'm located here in Gastonia, North Carolina. But because I can take orders over the internet, I can be your demonstrator no matter where you're at. So if you don't currently have a person that you're working with and you are interested in purchasing some of the items that I might show today or in any of my other videos that you might have seen, please take the time to send me an email, send me a text message. The phone number listed is my cell number, so I can take text messages as well as you can email me, you can call me. Now if you do decide to pick up the phone and call me, if I don't answer or if it goes into voicemail, please leave me a message and I will get back to you. Sometimes I'm recording a video, sometimes I'm doing some editing where I can't stop what I'm doing. A lot of different things, or sometimes I'm on the phone with another customer. So just leave me a voicemail and I promise I'll call you back very promptly. So anyway, what we're going to do today is I got out a bunch of stuff here because I wanted to show you first everything we're using. Of course, we're going to be using the Ever Faithful paper trimmer that has both the cut blade and the score blade. This trimmer extends out to 17 1/4 inch, so it takes a large piece of paper as well as the pieces for our card. It's so nice because you can score with this blade. Now I do have my Stampin' Score, I think that's what it's called, the scoreboard that's in the catalog, but the reason I have that today is we're going to be doing some 1/8 of an inch scoring, and it's easier to do it on this one because I can just keep going rather than having to move the paper. So that's the advantage of having a scoreboard. But anyway, we will definitely be using our trimmer. I also have, let me get the big tools out of the way. Oops, I almost dropped that one. I'll tell you what, let's set this down here and we'll just pull it back up when we need it because it's going to be just for a small amount of the card. All right, the next thing is I have some linen thread. This linen thread is wonderful and we're going to use that on this card today. I have a piece of crumb cake, which is going to be our base, and a piece of Merlot that is going to be our mat. So I have the Bloom Hybrid embossing folder. That is actually bundled with the dies. And the reason for that is these dies cut out the flowers perfectly right there. But I also have the stamp set. So you can buy this in a bundle. That's a bundle, and then you can add the stamps to it. It is a great tool to have in your craft room, because very seldom do you have a die that will fit in and literally cut your and my dog just knocked my scoreboard over and it scared him. Toby, I moved that out of the way, honey. Okay, but very seldom do you have a embossing folder that has dies to match it, so I had to have this one for that reason. So we're going to be working with definitely this. I don't think the dies in the stamp set's going to come into play. If you're wondering where those are at in the catalog, they're on page 116, and there it shows the stamp set, the dies, and the embossing folder, and you can get that in a bundle and save 10%. So that's great. When you can, anytime you can bundle, do it because you do save some money. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing we want to do is do our card base. So the card base is going to be very simple. The same old thing. We're going to cut it on the 11-inch side, and we're just going to cut it in half at 5 1/2. And lay that to the side, and then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. And again, that's halfway because now we're on the 8 1/2 inch side. So I'm going to get that cut blade out of my way and I'm going to score. And that did not look like it wanted to come together, so we're going to train our paper. Let me grab my bone folder. Okay, that's perfect. So now we need to cut a mat down for this. And for this, I'm going to need my mat to be, let's see, this is 4 1/4. And if I come in an inch, three and a quarter. So let's do 3 1/4. And we're going to need it to be 5 1/2. All the measurements will be in the description below, so in case you don't get them, or you can write them down as you're watching this. I would suggest to watch this first and then come back and make this card. Okay, that's coming together. I need one more piece just like that. So 3 1/2. I mean 3 1/4. Sorry folks. 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right, I think that's all of our pieces that we need to worry with for right now. But I am going to do some scoring. So I'm going to bring my scoreboard back up. And this is so big, but it is such a nice scoreboard. So if you don't have a scoreboard and you're in the market, I would suggest this one because it's great. Not only do you get the little pegs that lets you put your like if you're doing a bunch of cards and you need to score them at 2 inches, you could put this at the 2 inch mark and you wouldn't even have to look. You know that you're lined up perfectly and you just go. Also, it has a place down here where you store your scoring tool, and it has 2 sides, one side for paper and one for cardstock. So anytime that you're doing paper, you're going to want to use the smaller end, and when you're doing cardstock, you're going to want to use the bigger end. So let's go ahead and pull this over and I'll show you where I want to score at. I know that my card is 4 1/4. So I want to score out from 3 1/4 to, I want that to be 1 inch. So we're going to take it to right there, 3 1/8. Let's see, let me go back. That's 3 1/2, 4 1/2. That would be 1 1/4. That would be 3 1/4. I'll tell you what, the best way to do that sometimes is just with a trusty old ruler. So I want this, I just want 1 inch from here. So 1 inch from there would be at 3 1/4. And then I want it over here the same way. I want 1 inch. So 1 inch. No, Toby. He has been so barky this morning. Every little thing has set him off. So 1 inch from there would be 5 3/8. We're going to go there. All right, now that I've made my marks, we are going to score starting right here every 1/8 of an inch. So that's my first score line. And I'm using the wrong end. And then I'm going to go to my very next score line. And they're going to be very close together, but that's what you want. So just go slow. You're going to love this effect once you see what it's going to look like. So this is worth the effort that you put into it. And like I said, don't be in a rush. Just take your time and you'll get all of these in just perfectly. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to start right there. And you can see the advantage of doing it on the scoreboard, because if we were doing this on the trimmer, we would have to move this piece of paper every time that we come down to make a score line. So I just thought it would be much easier to use our scoreboard. For projects like this, I prefer to use it. And then we're back to that first little divvy that we made. So now we have this. Nothing really special, but, you know, wait until we finish. All right, we're done with our scoreboard, so I'm going to put this up. And now let's decide what we're going to do. We need to emboss these. Both of these panels need to be embossed. So I am going to place them into my folder, making sure I line up that line right there. And I want them nice and in the middle. So, and this is a 3D embossing folder, so we're going to have to do a little extra something here to get this to work, because these are thick. But with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, it makes everything easy, because your plate will show you exactly what you need to do. So we're going to take off everything except our number 1 plate. And this is how you do a 3D embossing folder. You do your number 1 plate, your embossing folder with your cardstock in it, and then the machine comes with a specialty plate called a number 4, and that's all that is for, is to use with your 3D embossing folder. So we're going to crank it through. Cranks like butter. This machine is absolutely a pleasure to use. All right, I'm going to move it back over where I keep it, right beside my desk. And I'm going to put this plate back up here. Oh, wait a minute. I got to do one more. I need to keep that out, don't I? Yep, because we got to do that one. What was I thinking? Evidently, I wasn't thinking too well. But I'm going to take this off and look at that detail. Now, y'all seen me use this folder before, and you know I love it. I just absolutely love the depth of the texture that it puts on your piece. So I'm going to do this one the same way. I'm going to line it up about midway. And I'm using that line because Stampin' Up! Embossing folders give you a line, so you can always get your piece lined up perfectly, which is absolutely ingenious. So I'm going to put this in, and I'm not going to bring the machine back over. Y'all saw me cut emboss the first one. Same thing. I just have this on a little set of drawers that fits up underneath my desk. I pulled it out enough to put my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine on it right here by me, and I love it. So there's our second piece. So we're getting there, y'all. All right, I'm going to stick my folder back up there because I don't need it. I'm going to stick this plate back up here because I'm done with it. And then I'm going to put my die cut sandwich back together and just lay it on my machine. That's how I roll. All right, So what we're going to do now is these pieces are going to attach to this like that and like that. But before we do any attaching, we're going to do some punching. And I've got my trio punch, and I think that's what it's called. Let me look at my punches, and I can tell you really quick if that's the trio. I love, love, love my punches. This is called the Detail Trio, and it cuts 3 different ways. This is your corner rounder. You have one that does a decorative edge and one that punches a hole. So this is 3-in-1. I love it, love it, love it. And what I love about it is it makes you don't have to fight with your pieces. You line them up in here like that, and you punch, and you get a perfect punch every time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch each one of these corners to round them, just the left hand side of your piece, and that's going to be true all the way around. Okay, so we're going to do the card as well. So get your corner up in there. And when you know that you've got it positioned, it's got a little ledge that sticks up on both sides. When your paper butts those sides, you know you're in where you need to go. So then just punch. And do the same thing for the... I'll be right back. Okay, so I've rounded the corners, and I want to make sure that I'm rounding the corners to the edges that this is going to be glued to. So this is going to glue to this all the way to the edge, top and bottom, just like that. So now I want to do this side, but if you notice when I put this one on, we're going to do the left-hand side of it. So let's go ahead and put this in. And it does matter because there's a pattern on your piece that you embossed. Make sure I'm doing the right one. Got it up in there good, and punch, and then do the bottom. Okay, now we need to do the top and the bottom of this one. So again, I'm just going to get that maneuvered in there so that I've got it squared up on both sides, just like that. And like this. Just like that. Now this is beginning to look like a little notebook, and that's exactly what I wanted it to look like. I thought, how cute would it be to make a card that actually looks like a notebook. Now the only place I'm going to fold this is on that very first fold line, right there. So I'm going to fold that back, and I want to crease it, but I want to crease it where I don't take out the other lines. So I'm going to use my fingers rather than the bone folder. And if you use a bone folder, use the tip. Just use the tip and do it right across there like that. And now that is ready for us to adhere our pieces to. So now we've got the front and we've got the back. So the first thing before I put these on, no, let's go ahead and put these on first. I'm going to open it up like this, and I'm going to use some liquid glue because I've got a lot of little nooks and crannies, and the liquid glue will get into those nooks and crannies a lot better than the Stampin' Seal. So I'm just going to use liquid glue, and I'm going to get it all in there. And get it all the way to the edges and the corners. And then I'm going to lay this down right to that line. And I'm going to pick this up because I want to wiggle it. When I say wiggle it, I want to wiggle it into place. And then that looks just like I wanted it. So now we're going to do the same thing. Did I put it on? No, I got it right. So now, for a minute I thought I had put the wrong side on the wrong one, but okay, here we go. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to put glue all over it. Making sure you get it good on the edges. And then we're going to lay this one down. I'll be right back. Okay, now that we have these completely glued down, you can decide at this point if you want to put any type of decorative edge across here, which I think it's nice to do like a little band. So I'm going to take a piece of the cardstock and I'm going to cut like 1/4 inch off of this, and then we're going to glue that down. So let's grab our trimmer. I'll move my phone out of the way. Okay, and I'm going to bring this, and this time I'm going to cut it on this side of my trimmer because it's easier. I'll have room here to hold this in place. And I'm going to just cut off a strip, and then we're going to cut this down to 5.5 because we know that's what our little book is. So I'm going to move that out of the way, and there's our 5.5. And I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 of these because I think I want one on the front and the back. So let's do it one more time. And we're just going to line that up on that 1/4 inch. And I love this trimmer for the fact that your lines go all the way down to the bottom. So that way when you butt it up against this top and you're directly straight on that line, you know you're going to get a good cut every time. And that's so important in anything that we're doing with measurements. It's so important to make sure everything measures out correctly. So 5.5 is right there. And let's see how this is going to look once we put these on. And I think it's going to add, because it's going to kind of cover up that piece. So let's try it and see how it's going to work. I'm going to grab my silicone craft sheet because I'm working on a small area of cardstock, and I want to get enough of glue on here that's going to hold it, but I don't want it on my work surface. And you can see where I'm going around, it would be on my work surface if I didn't put that under it. So we got a little bit on the front of that, so I'm just going to wipe it off. Move this over just a hair, and I'm just going to line that up just like so. And that's going to actually look like a binding, and I think that's cute. So just press it down really good. And now we're going to do the same thing with the other piece. And then let's put this right here. And you can always trim this. This one looks a little bit longer, so we can trim that off. Not a problem. So I'm going to grab my paper snips. And I'm going to turn it over because it's easier to cut it from this side, because you can see exactly what you're clipping. And that's all we need to do. I'm wiping those off because if it was any glue underneath there, I didn't want that on my scissors. So I'm going to lay this craft mat over to the side because we don't need it. get these little crumbs of cardstock off of my desk. And now we are going to put some linen thread on this. So here's my linen thread, and I'm going to unravel. I'm going to wrap it probably 2 or 3 times. So I'm going to put it in here like that, and I'm going to pull this piece up because I want it to come more to the edge, the front edge. And then I'm going to just start wrapping it from here. So I'm going to hold this where I want it. If I can get my fingers on it right. Just like that. And then I'm going to use this hand to wrap. Let's go one more time. Alright, and then I'm going to just cut this, and let me grab my other scissors for that. And now we've got enough of this around here to give it just a really good look. And you can slide this over however you want to fix it. I like mine right about there. But I want to make sure, let's come over just a little bit more because I want this to glue into this piece. We're going to glue this piece that we scored, the area that's been scored is going to get glued together. So let's get this over here and turn that back over. Make sure this is like we want it. That piece looks a little wonky, so I'm going to pull it. And then I'm going to start to tie it, and I want to tie it up here. Now this is when you need that extra set of hands, a friend or a husband, but when you're by yourself and you don't have anything, that's when your tools come in handy. So I've got a pair of tweezers, and I am going to, these are the reverse tweezers, and I'm going to grab that. Let me get it tied down a little bit tighter. Oops, I didn't want to pull it that tight. I'm going to pull it under all of the other string, like that, and then tie it like this. Now we got it. And guess what? I didn't even need the tweezers for that one. So once you get your little bow tied, you can adjust your strings, decide exactly how you want that to lay. I'm going to leave the tails right now because I'm not sure where I want to go with that. But I am going to turn this over, and we're going to put a good amount of glue. And let me zoom y'all in just a little bit. I'm going to take glue and put all over top of the linen thread. And you know what I should have done? I should have cut my piece that's going to go in here. Let me grab really quick some white cardstock because I want this to go inside there. Just like, I want these ends to be rounded though. And this is where I didn't think this out ahead of time, and I should have. Okay, and we're going to get glue all over this too. And I want that to come out about there. I'm going to get my bone folder because I want to really kind of iron that glue out. piece. We're going to need a piece here, so these edges need to be trimmed out. Okay, and now we're going to put glue all over the back of this. And we're going to lay this one down just about the same way we did that one. Mash it in really well. Now we're going to put glue. We're going to really use some glue on this. Just like that, and then we're going to close this down and bend that back so that we get a good. Now what I like to do when I'm doing something like this, I like to take a large block, maybe one bigger than that. Let's see, I think this one might work, and just lay that on top of that and let that adhere. So I'm going to do that while we work on what we're going to do on the inside. But before we go any further, I want to show you, I'm going to use the dies, and I didn't know that I was, but I just want to try this and see what it looks like. And if we don't like it, you know, I can save this for another time. But I think what I want to do before I cut it, I'm going to cut and then emboss. So I'm going to cut these flowers out. And I'm doing them in the same color that of the cardstock that we're using for our mats. And how pretty are those? So now I'm going to grab that embossing folder, and we are going to put these flowers in just like this. So this one is going to go in right here, and this one's going to go in right here. And this one's going to go in right just like that. Now I'm going to do something that's a little different. I'm going to use my water bottle, and I'm just going to squirt. And I'm going to close that up. And we are going to run this through. And we're going to use our number 4 plate again. Oops. You know what? You can't do it with the other plates on there. So now I'm going to run this through. I don't know that I like the way those look, but we'll dry them and see what they look like. Once we get them dry, they might look a little better. Who knows? Yeah, see, it kind of embossed off of the there they are on there. I'm not sure that I like them. So you know what? I'm not going to use those. I'm going to let those dry, and I can use those in another project most definitely. So let's move on and finish this. So we've got we've got our card ready to go. We can stamp a sentiment in here. We can actually stamp some flowers. So let's follow through with that same set, and that is the one called Art in Bloom. And I think I'm going to put a couple of those flowers on the inside. Thanks for making me happy. You're a rare friend. Dear friend. I thought it would be cute to put something on the front. But I'm just not sure if I want to go with white, because I think that's going to be too stark. So maybe we'll do a little sentiment. And how about dear friend? I think that would be really cute, and we can actually use one of our decorative punches. So let's use this one. This is the Treasure Tag Pick-a-Punch. I love these two angles. So we're going to cut us a strip that is about, let's see how big that stamp is, dear friend. Oh, it's very, very small. Okay. So let's put that down, and we'll grab a stamp block to pick it up with. Where's my itty bitty? Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to pick this up on my stamp block. I'm going to lay it over there. We're going to get our trimmer back out, and we're going to trim us a piece off of here. I wonder if I got another scrap, because it's a whole piece. Let's look and see if I got a scrap. Yeah. Much better than using a half a sheet, because that can be another card base. So, I am going to cut off about a ½ inch. Maybe 3/4. Let's go 3/4. That's usually a nice size. And I'm going to use the Merlot, since that's the color that we've used here. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get our edges. And I'm trying to decide. I think I want this one, the rounded one. Since we got rounded corners, I think that would look really cute. Oh yeah. And we'll put this side in. I like to hold them upside down, because then I can see that I've got it in there nice and straight. That one was real easy to do because it fit in the track so well. So now we can just put this down right about here, and we're just going to say dear friend, and I'm doing it in the Merlot. Let's get our Stampin' Pierce mat. Anytime you're using photopolymer, this Stampin' Pierce mat is wonderful. So I'm going to get over, I might get my head in the camera, but I'm trying to get right in the center of this. Very pretty. We'll close this ink for right now. Sure, we'll use it again in just a minute, but for right now, I think I want this down toward the bottom. And I think we're going to pop that up on dimensionals. So let's move our Stampin' Pierce mat. Grab my dimensionals. And I'm going to put 1, 2, and 3. Take your pick tool. Love this tool. I never craft without it. Isn't that pretty? That, I don't know, it's just something that adds a little elegance to this, and this is just kind of a different card. But I really am liking the way this card has come together. I'm going to turn that bow just a little bit because I want my streamers to hang down this way. And I think what I might do is put a glue dot right up underneath there. So let me grab my glue dots. And I'm going to take this one off using my Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to roll it just a little bit and then pick it back up. And then I'm going right directly underneath that knot, and then I'm going to press it down. That way I know that's not going to move, it's going to stay in place. And now we can trim off our little tails where we want them. And I'm going to go here and here. And so now all we need to do is finish up on the inside. And I think for the inside I want to stamp some of these flowers. But these flowers all stamped in one big conglomeration. So I think we're going to have to go with a different flower. Let's see if we got any babies in here. Nope, we don't. We just have leaves and the big flowers. Okay, so we're going to regroup. Let me grab another stamp set and I'll be right back. Alrighty, I think I'm back. I've had a hard time. I was going to do the flowers that goes with this embossing folder. That didn't work for me, so I went and pulled color and contour, and I stamped that. As you can see, I stamped it over here first, and then I went back with this which gives you the solid color to put in the flower. I don't know that I like that. So I don't think I'm going to use that. I think I'm going to leave it like this, but I am going to put a little bit of yellow. So I'm going to grab my alcohol markers and my Daffodil Delight, and I want to go into the middle. And I have to be careful because this is alcohol and it doesn't work real good with this particular ink, but that's okay. We're just going to go in and put in a little bit of color. I am going to grab my, let's see, what is my darkest color? The Cherry Cobbler. Let's see how it looks next to this. Pretty close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of color just like that. Not a lot, just enough to give it a little contrast. Then I'm going to go back with this Daffodil Delight, and this is the dark, and I'm just going to drag some of that color down to the middle. I think that looks neat. I think it gives it a little bit of an abstract look, but it's different, and I like different. So I'm going to leave that like that. Put these back up. And I also want to do a leaf. So I'm going to grab one of these little leaf thingies that are kind of weird looking, but I think it will work. Let's see. I said I think it will work, but I'm not sure. I'm going to pick up a Pear Pizzazz. I'm going to try to stamp this right here. I probably should have done this before I did the before I put it down, but that's okay. I'm going to get a leaf right there. That's pretty good. And we're going to put a little Granny Apple Green on that and see what we get. So this is my light Granny Apple. So I'm just going to go in here and put just a tiny bit of, I want it to look kind of whimsical as well. Not fully colored in, but just kind of partially done. And I think I like that. So now all I need to do is stamp my sentiment. And I'm going back to that Merlot. And we are going to tap, tap, tap. And then I am going to stamp this right about here. Very good. I love that. I love the fun and flirtiness on the inside, but yet on the outside it looks very subdued. So we're going to call this card done. Let me get my ink put away. Let's pull some stuff off of my desk, and so we can center in on how cute this card is. It's kind of different, you know, but sometimes we're looking for something that's just a little different than what we've been seeing. And I think with this one, we've got just that. And it looks like a little book. We have a back to it that has been covered just like the book. And I love that. And because this is still an A2 size card, let me show you. That it will also fit in our standard A2 size envelope. That's always important because when you get ready to mail, you want a card that will fit in your envelope. And there you go. Nice fit, beautiful, and ready to go. And if you wanted to decorate this envelope, you could take a piece of this and emboss it and then glue it onto here. What I would do is I would cut out a piece the size by laying it over the envelope and cut it, and then I would take it to the embossing machine, and then I come back and glue it on. But that would make a beautiful accent for your envelope. Or you could just stamp your envelope. Bring your envelope here and stamp it with that flower and the greenery and kind of do them up and down. That would be cute. So there's always different ways that you can decorate and make something beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if it ran over a little bit. I am going to do quite a bit of chopping out of this one, but hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you are interested in any of the products that I use to make this card, go over to my website. It'll be listed below. It'll say shop at Stampin' Up, and it will take you directly to my site. And that way, if you go in any other way, just make sure that you pull me up as your demonstrator. I would so appreciate that. And that's only if you're not already working with someone. If you're working with someone, I totally understand. I never want to steal anyone else's customers. That's not my style. But if you are in need of product, and or you have a Stampin' Up demonstrator that hasn't been taking care of you, I would be glad to earn your business. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and ring the bell. That will give you notifications every time I put up a video. And before we go, I do need to load my names in for the person that's going to win the stamp set. I was going to do it on a live, but not feeling as well as I am, I decided to do it here. So let me go off and load my names, and I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I have all my names in here, and I went through my comments and made sure everybody's name was in here. I mean, it's only saying 10, and I know I got 12. Hold on, somebody's missing. Okay, I think I got this all worked out now, and I got all 12 names. And people that entered was Brian Dickey, Britt Stinson, Carmina Romero, Kathy Watts, Jennifer Reel, Margie Ryan, Marlene Watts, Marsha Freeman, Melanie Culbertson, Nancy Boatwright, and Sarah Johnson, and Susie Carsey. Here we go. We're going to try this again. Marsha Freeman. Yay, go Marsha. So I have the stamp set, A Touch of Ink, and I will be mailing this out to you very soon. So if I don't get it out Saturday, it will definitely go out first thing Monday. So thanks so much, all of you, for participating, for leaving a comment. It's so important for me to get comments from people that watch my videos. The only way I know you watch is if you comment. So thanks again, and as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy, so worthy of all of our love, praise, and honor. I love you guys so much. May God bless and keep you. And until we craft again, bye-bye.